What's up everyone, Howler here, coach of your Delta Gligers. Today I am bringing you the long overdue draft analysis for the BBL, otherwise known as the L League. You know, of course, because we have BBR and BBL, we have the R League and the L League. And I'm hyping this up to be the L League because the Ubers format is a very new format to me. I've never played in an Ubers league before, so I'm hyping this up to be potentially the league where my playoff streak is broken. This very well could be the league that I don't make playoffs for once just because I am a noob when it comes to Ubers. I think I can maybe make playoffs. We'll see. Either way, it's only going to be a 10-week season, so every game is important. There is less room for error as when BBR last season we had a 12-game schedule. If we lost one game, it wasn't as big a deal. We had more time to recover from it. Not so much in BBL this season. So you already know the first pick from the thumbnail. You saw it. You see it right in front of you right now. We had the number 2 overall pick out of 16 coaches, and we scooped up Calyrex Ice Rider form. I am so excited to have this Pokemon on my team. Now, arguably, I probably shouldn't have even bothered drafting this because I didn't have the Crown Tundra DLC. I didn't have the Isle of Armor, any of it. I didn't pay for it initially. So drafting this was probably a mistake because I need to have the DLC in the game to use this Pokemon, because I need the key item Reigns of Unity to be able to fuse Calyrex and Glastrier, and you cannot trade over them in their fused form. You have to trade over Calyrex and Glastrier individually. So I could have drafted something else like Yveltal, like Xerneas, like Marshadow that I wouldn't have had to buy the DLC to actually use, but as soon as I saw this Pokemon come out in the DLC, I knew that I had to have it in BBL if it was going to be allowed, and I'm so glad that it was. And I have to say, LIV, the commissioner of the BBL, is an absolute saint for buying me the DLC once we realized that I needed it in order to actually use this Pokemon. I cannot thank her enough for her generosity in letting me actually be able to use the Pokemon and the team that I drafted. Otherwise, you know what? It was very, very, very kind of her, extremely kind of her, and I'll be forever grateful for that. So a couple other things to note about Calyrex. So if you want to change up the EV spread, like if you want to trade over a new Calyrex, so you would have to unfuse the one Calyrex from the Glastrier, and then once you unfuse it, it will forget its signature move, Glacial Lance, which is one of the most broken moves in the game, let me tell you. 130 base power, stab, coming off of base 165 attack, and it's an iced type move. Are you kidding me? Nothing switches into Glacial Lance. And this thing gets so much coverage too, like, let's talk about your ice resists, right? Your bulky water types, we got Seed Bomb for you. Your bulky steels, we got high horsepower or close combat for you. And ice types too, we can hit you with close combat or heavy slam or something. Like, we got coverage to hit basically your entire team super effectively. And even if we're not hitting it super effective, like, we don't need to hit you super effectively if we're hitting you for a neutral Glacial Lance. It's that powerful. This thing also gets 2 abilities. I think I went off on a tangent here. This is going to be very much like, I'm very much winging this recording. It's super late right now. I need to get it out. So there's not going to be as much flow to this video as maybe I would like, but I was saying, so because it forgets Glacial Lance, and then when you fuse it again, it will remember Glacial Lance automatically. Well, Glacial Lance only has 5 PP. So unless you have, and if you're wanting to draft this for yourself, you're going to want a large supply of PP ups if you're constantly genning in a new Calyrex. I actually just manually adjusted the EV spread in-game between my Week 1 and Week 2 battles. So I didn't bother genning in a new Calyrex because I didn't want to worry about running out of PP ups or PP maxes to use on Glacial Lance. So that's another thing you can do as well, although eventually I may run out of EV training berries and stuff like protein and carbos or... Don't feed your Calyrex Carlos. It has carbos. It has base 50 speed. Carbos is for speed, I think? I don't even know. Yeah. So this thing at 22 points is going to actually allow me to possibly be able to afford a second Uber. The way the tiering works, it's points based, and you have 130 points for your total draft. You can get between 10 and 12 Pokemon, and if you look at my layout, I will tell you right now, I drafted 11 Pokemon to this team. Now, I could afford any Ubers that were either 19 or 18 points. However, there was only 5 Pokemon that fell under that tiering, and the only one that was left undrafted by the time it came back to my turn was Landorus I with Sheer Force for 18 points. And I decided that's not something that I wanted to take to my team. So I ended up taking Calyrex as my only Uber to this team. And the most broken thing about Calyrex, okay, it has 2 abilities. It combines Glacier's ability with Calyrex's ability. So Calyrex has Unnerve, which is a great ability to have in Draft League. It means nothing on my opponent's team can run Resist Berries to take hits from Calyrex. I never have to worry about anything packing a Yachi Berry that can revenge me, any Steel type packing a Shuka Berry or Chople Berry that could otherwise live a high horsepower or close combat from my Calyrex or anything like that. I don't have to fear that at all, which is super nice. On top of that, Glacier's ability, Chilling Neigh, is basically Moxie. If I get a kill with Calyrex, I get +1 in attack, and I already have base 165 attack with a stab 130 power ice move to fire off. Nothing more needs to be said. We're already 8 minutes into this recording, and I need to move on from Calyrex, but holy shit, I'm so excited to have this on my team. So for my next pick, I actually took a significantly less expensive Pokemon. I was just looking at high-tier Pokemon that I would like to use. I drafted a lot of fun Mons to this team, Mons that I'm looking forward to using. And one Pokemon that I actually considered drafting in the R League that I ended up going with a different Jellyfish instead. But we got Nihilego for 13 points. And Nihilego is something that I think is actually going to pair up extremely well with my 3rd round pick, which I knew I was going to get because Leo, who was picking first, he gets to pick twice before I make my next pick. He took Yveltal first, so I know that he's not going to want to pick another Dark type and not going to want to snipe the Mon that I had in mind for the next round. So Nihilego gets Trick Room. We got Trick Room support for Calyrex right away. I'm going to want to try to draft a lot of Trick Room support for Calyrex. I don't want Calyrex to be the only Trick Room setter because it does have a lot of weaknesses. Obviously, Ice and Psychic is not the best defensive typing. I think it has like 7 weaknesses that I got to cover. So, and it's not always going to be able to take hits from really strong attacks that are super effective, but it does have incredible bulk. So unless you're like Specs Flamethrower on unless you're like V-Create Victini, I don't think you're gonna be knocking out Calyrex in one hit with a whole lot. But we do want support we do want Trick Room support for Calyrex, of course. So Nihilego does provide that. Nihilego provides rocks right out of the gate, provides toxic spikes right out of the gate. Beast boost. So we got 2 abilities that boost our respective attacking stats once we get kills. Beast boost and what's it called? Chilling Neigh. So yeah, I'm looking forward to using Nihilego. I think it provides a lot of utility for this team, and it also pairs very well with Urshifu's single strike form, which was our 3rd pick, because Urshifu doesn't like taking on fairies that hit it on the special side, because obviously he doesn't have very good special defense. Nihilego has very good special defense, and Nihilego also resists flying type moves, which Urshifu doesn't like. So so we got Calyrex and Urshifu, the 2 mascots of the Sword and Shield DLC packages. And thankfully, I do not need to play through the Isle of Armor DLC to actually be able to use Urshifu. I just needed to play through the Crown Tundra part to actually get my Calyrex, but I can gen in Urshifu just fine. Urshifu obviously hits extremely hard with Wicked Blow, provides us with our first pivoting option on this team, I'm just excited to use this. I had Pangoro on my BBR team, and this thing is basically just like Pangoro on steroids. It doesn't get knockoff, but who needs knockoff when you have Wicked Blow? It's always going to crit, so it doesn't care about Mons switching in with Intimidate. Wicked Blow is Intimidate's not going to affect the damage output for that. It will for all my other attacks, but not for Wicked Blow at least. We got Sucker Punch, form of priority as well. Lots of coverage. Yeah, I think this Pokemon also has a pretty good speed tier, honestly, for Ubers, because a lot of the Ubers are not super fast. They're hovering right around the 90 to 95 base speed. And I think Urshifu can handle a lot of those Pokemon pretty well. There's not a ton of Ubers that resist Dark. I mean, I think probably the most common typings that you'll see for Ubers in this format are Dragons and Psychics as well. I think there's not all of the Psychics got drafted, but Psychics and Steels, I guess. Anyways, I'm excited to use Urshifu. It's gonna Calyrex and Urshifu single strike. Who needs any more physical breaking power besides that? We got that down pat. We're not too worried about physical breakers at this point. So my next pick, initially I was thinking about taking something like Jellicent for my water type, because it can set Trick Room for Calyrex again. But looking at the board, I really think that I needed solid fighting resists. I needed to make sure that I got a very good fairy here, because I do have a poison type that is not resistant to fighting and is going to take a ton of damage from any fighting type move because of how frail it is on the physical side. And I also have a psychic type that doesn't resist fighting. So, and then of course Urshifu single strike is weak to fighting. So I wanted a solid fairy, so I grabbed Tapu Fini, which is something that I have used before in draft and am pretty comfortable using overall, and this also gives me a very solid defogging option right out of the gate. Tapu Fini can be a good stall breaker as well with Taunt, Nature's Madness, that kind of thing. Unfortunately, doesn't get flip turn. It'd be pretty cool if this thing got flip turn just to provide a little bit more momentum for the team, but we can live without it, I guess. 2 new things that I need to think harder about when building with this thing, honestly, because I'm used to bringing very similar stats with Tapu Fini. It does get Iron Defense and Draining Kiss now. So Iron Defense coupled with Calm Mind, if it gets up both, it's going to be very, very hard to take this Pokemon down, especially because you can't Toxic it with Misty Terrain up. Now, of course, Misty Terrain won't last forever, but generally when you're prepping to beat Tapu Fini, you're not going to pack Toxic on a lot of your Pokemon, just because it's not going to work until the Misty Terrain goes away. Something to keep in mind though is if I click defog, then I will be getting rid of my own terrain, which I may not want to do. And I didn't really draft Finny to provide like extreme Misty Terrain support for the team. I'll have to keep in mind if I'm ever bringing Toxic Spikes with Nihilego, or actually have another Pokemon on my team with access to Toxic Spikes, that Misty Terrain is not going to synergize super well with that kind of strategy, so I'll have to keep that in mind. I don't have any Unburdened Pokemon on my team or anything like that, but Terrain can definitely still help. And weakening that, actually, it helps to weaken the power of certain Uber's Dragon-type moves. Because any Pokemon on my end that is grounded will be taking half damage from Dragon-type moves with Misty Terrain up, and that helps when you got so many Dragon-type Ubers that you're going up against. So, I mentioned Iron Defense. It also gets Draining Kiss now. Tapu Fini lacks reliable recovery, and it's can't really use Rest either because of the Misty Terrain, so having access to Draining Kiss is cool now. I don't know. I don't know how comfortable I am using Draining Kiss on anything other than Comfey, to be honest. But we'll see. We'll see if I can manage to bring Finny as like a win con set with some setup moves and then Draining Kiss to recover some health. I don't know. It's possible that the Uber's power might be too much to the point where like Finny just has to come as more of a supportive role, and then I use my like actual really powerful Pokemon like Calyrex and Urshifu to try to win the game for me, and Nihilego with Beast Boost as well. But I think it's a good member of this team. I'm excited to get the chance to use Finny once again. My next pick, I was just looking at my type chart. I grabbed another Fighting Resist and Mon that can pivot as well. So we got Vikavolt. Vikavolt's cool. I've used it before. It gets Sticky Webs. It can't be bulky. Again, like with the power creep that we're going up against, it's not... I don't know how well it's going to be able to take hits from certain things. I'm actually, as of recording this right now, not entirely sure if it's going to last the whole season on my team, just because it does share a fire weakness with Calyrex, which is something that I'm a little iffy on. But we only got it for 10 points, so I think it was a pretty good pickup for 10 points. It's something that can also have sweeping potential under Trick Room. So like it is actually slower than Calyrex. So if we get Vikavolt under Trick Room, Bug Buzz with Throat Spray could potentially be a thing that's Vikavolt that could help Vikavolt sweep a game. And we can even run Agility for when Trick Room expires, and then we can be able to outspeed things both inside and outside of Trick Room. So I think there's some room to use it a little bit more creatively than you will typically see most people use it. It'll come with Boots or Resist Berry and just and click Roost and pivot out and whatnot. But there is potential to use it as more of a sweeper on this team too. So at this point in the draft, I made a plan on the rest, how I wanted to construct the rest of my team. I've made 5 picks now, so I have to wait for a whole bunch of picks to be made before it comes back to me. And for the most part, I got everything that I wanted. I say for the most part. There was maybe one minor snipe, but we'll get to that when we get there. So the next Mon that I picked was Talonflame. I was, looking at my team right now, it's not super fast. So like, yes, I'm drafting more of a Trick Room team, but you still have to have Pokemon that can be really fast and outspeed stuff outside of Trick Room. So I thought Talonflame was going to be a really good option to just help provide speed for the team. It can provide Prankster Defog as well. Actually, our only 2 hazard removers on this team are Talonflame and Tapu Fini, which is not super great, but You know, I don't think hazards are like that bad for us to worry about. Like Tapu Fini, I think, is a pretty reliable defogger. Talonflame can be with boots, Gale Wings. It can get off a priority defog if I really need it to. We have the priority flying type moves now, so it gets dual wing beat. So you can, you know, if necessary, you can preserve your HP, keep yourself at full HP, so that you don't lose Gale Wings and you can fire off multiple priority attacks. We have priority Tailwind as well. So yeah, I don't know. Talonflame's not very strong. My friend Matt doesn't think it's a very good mon, but it did beat him twice in, in the recent season of the BBL. Sorry, I had to bring that up because we're playing him week 1. You'll see that video tomorrow, by the way. So yeah, we got Talonflame for some speed, and the next Pokemon that I'm going to take is Runerigus. I was mentioning I thought about taking Jellicent for Trick Room, but instead we got our Ghost type with the dual typing for Ground, so this is going to be our Ground type as well. Runerigus for 6 points is a very good pickup. I think that's an extremely good value pick for us. We got Stealth Rocks, so we have a lot of Stealth Rockers on this team. As of right now, we only have 2, but 3 of our last 4 picks all have Stealth Rocks, so we got 5 Stealth Rockers on this team. Runerigus, extremely good support mon. Trick Room support, Stealth Rock support. This is the other thing that gets Toxic Spikes as well. I wasn't necessarily drafting it so that it could use Toxic Spikes, but you know, Will-O-Wisp status as well. Poltergeist, so that Poltergeist Earthquake, very, very strong dual stab. Even though it doesn't have the most impressive attack stat, it has a couple of strong moves to take advantage of. Its bulk pretty good, a little bit to be desired in HP. If its HP were a little bit higher, this thing would take so many hits. But its bulk on both the physical, especially the physical side, and especially defensive side, are really good. So this was something that I picked up in free agency and for my IBL Season 8 draft that I, you know, from the season that I dropped. And I drafted another Trick Room team here, and I picked up Runerigus again. So yeah, I'm looking forward. I think Runerigus in this league was a much better value pick than Runerigus in IBL as well, because Runerigus was tier 3, I believe, and this is like 6 points, so it's kind of like worth a tier 4 type pick if you were thinking about it. So yeah, I'm very happy to have Runerigus here. Next up, this was kind of like the last Pokemon that I was thinking about, like that I put together in my plan. Like I had room to. I was looking at what things that I wanted, like the 13 to 14 point range, and something fun that I wanted to try that had a good speed tier was a Zelf. So we grabbed ourselves a Zelf. Of course, it's another Stealth Rocker. Another fast mon that we can bring as a Scarfer. It fits perfectly speed tier wise between Talonflame and Nihilego at base 115 speed. It can attack on either the physical or the special side. Can be a good pivot for us. I don't know how often I'm going to end up bringing this, because it is a second psychic type on this team, and obviously we're going to be bringing to Calyrex to pretty much every game. I would be shocked if we ever did not bring our Uber to a battle in the BBL. So it's a lot of points, but I was able to afford it, and it's something that I'm looking forward to bringing to a couple of games. We'll see. In the right matchup, it hits really hard and has a lot of great coverage. So it's definitely a good Pokemon. I'm not totally sold on how well it fits into this team though. But yeah, I'm looking forward to using it a little bit. This low tier pick that I knew that I wanted from the beginning, I think fits on this team actually really well, and that's going to be Alolan Executor. Shoutouts to Sir Jorge the Great. Going to be nicknamed San Ant for you know, his team name, the San Ant Eggies. Alolan Executor gets Frisk, very good for scouting out items on my opponent's team. I had Trevenant with Harvest on my BBR team this past season, and we got Executor with Harvest as well. Executor, this is our dragon type, so typically dragons don't, like, you got to be very careful about the dragon type that you draft with Tapu Fini, because you're going to be weakening your dragon type move's power in certain cases if you're targeting opponents' Pokemon that are grounded. So Executor, not something that we're going to be bringing to a ton of games. So as a dragon type, I think it fits pretty good on this team, and it also gives us more Trick Room support. Of course, we have a Trick Room option with Azelf as well, even though it is really fast, so probably not something we'll bring Trick Room on a whole lot, but the option is still there. On Executor, I can definitely see myself bringing Trick Room quite a bit. It can be annoying with Harvest sets as well. You know, has pretty decent coverage. The fact that it gets Flamethrower is really nice for it. You know, maybe we could run some cheeky eject button sets with Leaf Storm or Dragon or Draco Meteor. Not eject button, eject pack, I mean. And having this as this has 4 times resistances. It 4 times resists water, grass, and electric, and that's really nice to have. So having that option there. So like, I'm not going to give away too much, but there are creative ways I think that I can use this to help support the team, especially you know, being able to. It has defensively, typing wise, it's good. Of course, it doesn't like taking ice moves, but we have, I think, decent switch-ins to ice type moves. So yeah, Alolan Eggy, very happy to have it. We got 2 more picks, and we got 20 points left. Now, my ideal pairing here would have been Porygon 2 and Copperajah. But Porygon 2 was worth 12 points, and Copperajah was worth 9, so the 2 of them together was 21, and I just fell 1 point short of being able to afford both of those. Porygon 2, of course, would have been really nice because with the Trick Room support, the teleport, pivoting option, just being able to take hits from so many different things. Like, I've talked about certain Pokemon, I don't know if they're going to be bulky enough to be able to take hits from Ubers or whatnot. Porygon 2 can take hits from anything. It's that bulky. You don't really like this. Porygon 2 is a mon that I could bring to most matchups and be confident in it being able to get up a Trick Room and just absorb hits and be a good wall for the team. However, it did get sniped. It kind of took away the option of me wanting to take it. Although if I did take Porygon 2, then I wouldn't have been able to afford Copperajah as my last pick. So right here, I did pick Chansey. Chansey was 1 point less than Porygon 2. And it does have some advantages over Porygon 2 in that it's able to provide wish support. And of course, we are passing the fattest of wishes with Chansey's like base 250 HP stat, I think. So yeah, like Runerigus is getting healed back up to full basically every time if we're passing wishes into it. Wishes into Tapu Fini will also be amazing. And this thing also gets teleport, and it's also another stealth rock setter. And just in general, like, it's obviously bulkier on the special side. However, it is extremely passive, and certain Pokemon can definitely take advantage of Chansey set up in front of it. If I can't break a substitute with it, or if I am like super weak to taunt, then this thing could possibly be a liability. But it can also help. Just having it on my roster helps because you know, some people are going to bring very clever sets that can beat Chansey, but Then if I don't bring Chansey, you've brought a very specific way to counter it, and it may not be the best set to take on the rest of my team. So there is some mind games to be played with Chansey for sure, with it being on my roster. We'll see how often I bring it, and we'll see how much my opponents actually prepare for it, whether or not I bring it or not. We'll see. So I mentioned it already. The last pick of our draft is Copperedja. I don't have flying resists on this team. Nihilego previously was my only one. Vikavolt as my electric type does not resist flying. Nihilego does not switch into Brave Birds. So my other steel type options were, if I wanted to take cheaper steel types, were Escavalier and Duraludon. Duraludon can switch into a Brave Bird, and it is faster, and I don't know. I wanted to give Copperedja another shot. I had it in APA Academy. It didn't do the most work for me. In fact, I don't think it got a single kill in that season, although it did have one game where it put in quite a bit of work, but I wanted to give it another shot on more of a Trick Room team, because we do have 4 Trick Rooms. If you count Calyrex, we have 5 Trick Room setters, but it's not like Calyrex is setting Trick Room for the other members on my team. Like, it's setting it for itself, right? So we have Nihilego, Runerigus, Azelf, and Alolan Eggy as Trick Room options. I would have liked to have Porygon too, but who knows? Maybe maybe Mid will want to trade for it at some point in the season, and if we make some transactions to be able to afford it, then who knows? Maybe it can fit onto the team. But yeah, so we got a lot of fun picks on this team. I haven't. My last couple drafts, I didn't draft a ton of Generation 8 Pokemon, but just on this team, we have quite a few. We have 4 Gen 8 Pokemon, I believe, if I'm counting correctly. So yeah, we got a lot of. We have Chansey in Generation 1. Executor, I guess, is Gen 1 as well, but it is a Alolan form, so you could possibly count that as Gen 7. And then we got a whole bunch of Gen 6, 7, and 8 months. We got a lot of really relatively new-ish Pokemon on this team, besides Chansey, and then Azelf is Gen 4 isn't relatively new, but it's not something that you always see get drafted. So yeah, it's a cool team. It looks a lot of fun for me to use, and I'm hoping that it can carry me to another playoff appearance, in this being my first season in the BBL, in an Ubers Draft League. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment down below, let me know what you think of the team, and subscribe to the channel to keep up with all of our Draft League content. We will see you tomorrow, bright and early. This is going up late on Sunday, and we'll see you tomorrow morning for our Week 1 battle against Matt O'Shea and the Montreal Melodics. I hope you all are looking forward to that.